Hi, and welcome to Distance from Wax Buffalo. I'm Alicia. Each week, I jump on with a new creative and talk about what they're doing and how they're working in our community. And of course, we make a special candle. This week, I'm super excited to introduce you to my friend Ariel Panowicz. She is an artist and photographer out of Omaha, Nebraska, but also an activist, a leader in our community, and just an all-out beautiful human. I always walk away from our conversations feeling inspired and refreshed. And so I hope that that is how you'll feel today. I can't wait to chat with her. Hi, Ariel. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, of course. I'm so excited.
Me too, me too. All right, so let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about, I wanted to dive into how you've done photography through this whole pandemic. And also just some of your beautiful work, because you are such a community driven person. You are strong in the community. You create these beautiful events, and even just thinking through your work with artwork, changing the conversation about what it looks like to be an artist and an activist and a good, kind human. And I don't know, I'm very, very proud to call you my friend. And I've loved to just watch the way that you speak truth. And sometimes you get mad because I think that's good. But you always do it in a way that is really beautiful. And so just wanted to kind of talk through your head on all of that. That was a big question.
So what's the question?
Right? How are you so great? Is that the question?
I think for me, over the last few months, I've learned many things. But I think something that has really been amplified is the power in our voices. Individually and collectively, whether it comes to just speaking your truth and speaking your heart and being honest and open and vulnerable when you're feeling like doing so is really impactful just to an individual. Like for me, I feel very grateful that I have the platform that I do. And although I do feel that social media is a little bit of a blessing and a curse, obviously, I think that in these times, people have been experiencing so much emotionally that I think it's easy to get wrapped up in feeling like, well, I'm super depressed and all of these other people that I'm seeing on social media seem to be doing really well. And so for me, I think what I've realized more than ever over the last few months is social media is just a small glimpse into people's lives. And just to remember that everybody struggles and everybody is going through something, and that you really just have to take social media as just a small grain in the beach of people's lives.
I like that a lot, actually.
That's from my mom.
Yeah. I love your mom. Yeah, that's super smart.
And on the flip side, that we also have these platforms and we have these voices, whether it's on social media or off social media, to really be able to have these very important conversations with people. And there are tools that people can use, whether it's helping someone through, a depressive state that they're going through and offering these resources and tools, or whether it's, really activating and bringing to light, systemic racism and stuff that's going on. There's just been so much that's been brought to light on a national level and just on a local level about, I've learned so much about city budgets and what's going on locally in our city and state. And I think it's just another way to be able to use your voice to help further just simply educating people. And so I've just learned so much more over the last few months about the power in using our voices individually to create change.
I one of the things that I really love is that you do dive down and even mentioning I understand city budgets differently now. How do you find that information? Because I feel like you have become such a good resource even for myself to well, I bet Ariel has a link to this. But you have to actually mine it out yourself, and I've been super grateful for that. How do you do it? Is it your connections? Are you just super savvy on the old Googles?
Yeah, I think that's the other challenge with the world we live in today, is that we are constantly consuming so much information, and it's honestly hard to decipher a lot of times what's real and what isn't. And so I think just doing the research as best you can, and really looking into, like, it's so easy to just see a headline or see a graphic and share it right away. And because we're consuming so much all the time, it's hard to remember, like, hey, I should really scroll to the bottom and like see what this source is and see if they're even like citing sources, and really look into biases. That's something that's really been brought to light to me in the last like month or so. Is it's really hard. Like for me, I personally trust like NPR more than anything. That's kind of my like most trusted news source. But I think just really doing the research into, where did this come from? Is this from a trusted source? Did I just headline read and then share? Like, I think we all are so quick to just read something and then share it really quickly. Yeah. But I think on the flip side, also just acknowledging within yourself and publicly, if you feel inclined to do so, that, hey, I shared this and then I realized like a few hours later that it was wrong and I made a mistake and this is the new version that I found. Or I just think, being human.
Yes, I was about to say that. Isn't that how we would with our friends, like in real life? Oh my gosh, I read this article. And then you would come back and be like, hey, I learned a new thing. Like, and because it's within a friendship, like your friendship doesn't end because you're like, I totally made a mistake. This wasn't right. Let me try again. That, like, it's how we act as humans. And for some reason, I think the interaction on social media, it like scares us to be human and to be like, I jacked up. I'm real sorry.
Yeah. We have to remember people are humans and we have to be willing. How are we ever going to actually see change if we're not willing to allow people the space and humility to feel like they can change and that it's okay to make a mistake? And so, I think we all just need to remember, even though we're all just interacting through our phones, that like we're all humans and we're all trying to learn, and let's just give ourselves and everyone some grace.
Totally. I love it. Yes. Feel all the feels, feel them deeply.
Yes.
Love each other. Do some forgiving. I like it. How's it been doing photography during all of this?
It's been good. For the first few months, I pushed back all of my shoots when this all started, and, being pregnant, and I'm a high risk pregnancy. So I felt extra high risk. Shooting is so much of who I am. And I think with this pandemic, I've learned that it's not all of who I am. But, as artists, you get so connected to your craft that you're like, this is all that I am. I'll explore doing some watercolor painting, or it doesn't have to be all of who I am. So that's been interesting. But I started shooting. I looked at what I felt comfortable and safe doing. And for me, that was starting to just shoot, just take my clients that were outdoors and no bigger than 5 people at a time, and just being honest with people. Hey, I'm going to do this, but these are my parameters that I'm setting for myself right now. And, I understand if you don't feel comfortable. Happy to push your session to next year. Just a lot of client communication and doing what feels comfortable for everybody involved. So it's been good. I love shooting, and it's felt so nice to shoot over the last 2 months.
It's interesting, right? Like that, I feel like we gravitate to our art because it is our therapy. And I agree, like even going back into the studio and pouring for a night, I was like, oh, I missed this. Like I didn't even realize, I think, how this was affecting me to not be able to do this thing I love so deeply. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad.
There's also like a fear of, like, I kept telling my husband, I was like, I hope I still know how to do it. I'm like, do I even know how to shoot anymore? I'm like so nervous.
Like it would just go away. But you're like, oh, I better go practice. Yes. Well, even for this, like it's been a bit since I've done an interview for distance, and I was like, okay, I've got my note cards. I like was testing everything this morning again, and it was like, it's like that nervous energy of like, let's do this again.
Yeah, but it also feels good to kind of feel like something is a little foreign. You kind of got to walk through the fear. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe it'll give us our edge again, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, let's talk about your candle because I'm obsessed with it. You created this gorgeous Do You Boo. They're putting on this white vessel. Will you talk a little bit, because this is your saying, and I like love it. Talk a little bit about the origin of it.
So for a long time, I felt like I was constantly trying to fit in a box of what people expected from me as a woman, as a photographer. I just didn't feel like in my heart of hearts, it felt right. And I had a surgery 3 years ago. I was down and out on the couch recovering for like a solid few months. And I fell into just a sad, depressed state. And it's very easy when you're recovering and not able to move very often to just be scrolling on that phone too much. And I was comparing myself so much, like we all do, like I still am guilty of. And I felt that my work wasn't worthy, and why didn't I have as many followers as these other people? And I actually re-edited a lot of my past work to look more in line with what I thought people wanted to see from me. And it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like me. And so I made a decision that I was going to dive in even more to what felt true to me. And for me, that was very colorful, punchy, saturated.
It's your like iconic look now. It's hard for me to even believe that it hasn't just always been easy for you.
When I could shoot again, I was like, I just want to put together something like crazy and different. And so I did this pool shoot with Addis and Maddie and my friend Liz. And I was like, I just want to really like have no boundaries or expectations for myself and just like do something weird. And it just ignited. I was so happy just doing the shoot, and it felt good and it felt right. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to go down this path. So many doors and opportunities and things just opened up to me the second that I accepted that I'm just going to do me. I don't need to compare myself to anyone else. I don't need to fit into a box of what I think people want to see from me, because that's so much harder than just doing you, boo. There was just a huge shift in my work and in my life and my self-esteem and everything. And so I just realized, like, we all just need to do what feels right to ourselves. And so that's where Do You, Boo came from.
Oh my goodness, I love that story so much. What do you think the like instigator was? I mean, was it your own motivation? Did you have like a really good session with somebody? Like what finally infused you to realize like, oh, I'm not being true to myself?
I think falling into the comparison game was, I think it's just very detrimental to people's psyche and well-being and confidence. And there's so much visual content and things to compare to constantly that we're shifting through, whether it's body image or music, or anything. And it's so easy to look at the number of followers or likes you have, and for that to become associated with your self-worth. And it can just be so detrimental to your mental well-being. And so I think letting go of that and just really spending some time with yourself and being like, what do I like? And what makes me feel happy? Because that is literally all that matters. If you're being true to yourself and it feels in your heart and your gut and your mind that like, I like this, I'm going to lean more into this. Everything will fall into place for you as it's meant to, and you'll be so much happier. So I think just listening to yourself and trusting yourself, and that's it. Just do you. Trust yourself and just keep going.
Do you, boo. And when you start to worry, you just put this little candle smack in front of your face. You're like, oh, that's right. I am an incredible human. I love it. I love it. We created, when we first chatted long ago. Well, so origin story is that Ariel and I spoke literally back in March, right? It was like week 2 of quarantine, and I jacked something up and all of the audio wouldn't work. And then the world changed a lot and distance kind of went away for a bit. And so now we're back reconnecting, but we had already created this like really gorgeous oil blend that I have just been holding on. Full disclosure, I actually poured myself like 3 of these already, which was just like a nod to like the outdoors, which is so interesting because that's like where you've been back shooting again, and just those beautiful like evergreen and pine and cypress and birch type trees with some rosemary and eucalyptus, and it's gorgeous. So that's what we're gonna pour in.
Yay. I can't wait to smell it.
I keep calling it my secret Ariel candle when I like burn it around here.
The anticipation.
Hey,
5
everyone's
months.
right.
Be the best candle.
It's going to be so good.
Watching it just looks so therapeutic. Watching, and I imagine just like it's so therapeutic.
Even just like pulling out my kit today, you know, and like opening everything up and like the aroma of all the oils that came out. I was like, oh, I feel like a really lucky human that I get to like do this as my work. And
yeah,
it's interesting that you say like just even like figuring out like what it is that makes you happy. I'm the type of person that I worry that something will go away, so I like dabble in all these things, you know. And I like, even I know you and I have talked about, we both do voice work, and we're like, it's just like this funny thing we do on the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think like this year was my first year that I really was like, I'm gonna focus fully on candles, like all in. It feels scary, but if it fails, it's like I did it fully, and my brain was fully into it. And like that was kind of my aha moment of like, hey, you have to like be okay to fail at this like fully. And I hadn't really given myself that permission. And it's been, yeah, it's been a game changer, I think.
Yeah.
I
think that's something that's so important also, is just really looking at, okay, if I really dive into this, what's the worst that can happen? Like for me, I'm always like, okay, if I want to like try this really weird thing and like really put myself out there, what's the worst that can happen? And I think when you acknowledge the worst thing that can happen, you're kind of like, okay, that's not that bad.
It's not really that bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. I agree. And I think this is like, it is the perfect reminder of like everything you stand for. It smells really good, by the way, which I already know because I have a million of these now. But yeah, like I just think it is like this thank you for like this amazing mantra, and like just speaking such great truth into all of our lives. Even like it's a lot, I think, we put our expectation on you, and especially me. I trust you. I trust your research. I trust your heart. I appreciate the way that you think and the way that you love people. And you have been such a piece of inspiration for me through all of these months and all of these changes, and the way you've interacted with our community. And I am really, really honored to call you my friend. You are a really good human, Ariel.
Thank you. You are too, girl.
Yeah.
9 months pregnant, made me cry.
You beautiful soul. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to meet your little smush. I will send you this right away so that you can pre-burn it and be ready. I
Thank you.
love you. Thanks for jumping on.
And truly, thank you for doing these. There have been so many amazing people that have been highlighted in this series, and it's just awesome to see you giving people a voice and having these conversations through this crazy time. And you are also an amazing human, and I'm grateful to call you a friend.
Thanks, babe. You're good for my heart. I sure love you. Okay, I'll be sending you all the positive vibes. I hope everything goes well. I can't wait. I'll be stalking your socials.
I'll be posting some pics.
Okay, good. All right, I love you, girl.
Love you too.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for letting us be vulnerable. And I'm super excited about this candle that Ariel has created. It's beautiful and inspiring me already. We're going to make a small batch of these, of course. We'll throw them up online. The proceeds will go to the Lincoln Food Bank. Thanks for being here again. I'm excited to do another little series with you and talk to more creatives. And I hope you'll join me each Sunday night. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.